They say every mystery has a clue, a thread that leads to the truth, but what if there are no answers? What if the thread is forever lost? The story of the boy in the box is one of those mysteries, a case so haunting, so eerie, that it's captivated the minds of investigators and true crime enthusiasts for over 6 decades. Who was this child? Why was he discarded like trash? And why did no one come forward to claim him? The answers remain elusive, buried deep within the fog of time. This is the chilling case of the boy in the box. It all began on February 25, 1957, on a foggy, cold morning in Philadelphia. A young man, out for a walk with his dog, was near the intersection of Susquehanna Road and Poplar Avenue when his dog began to tug at its leash, pulling him towards something in the overgrown brush. The young man noticed a cardboard box lying half buried in the dirt. At first glance, it seemed like any other abandoned object until he approached it. The box was slightly torn and fragile, but the horror within was undeniable. Inside the box was the lifeless body of a young boy, no older than 4 or 5. His face, pale and peaceful, seemed out of place in the harsh surroundings. His dark hair was combed neatly, and his small body was naked, save for the remnants of a shirt and a blanket. There were no obvious signs of injury. No blood. No bruising. The child was not beaten or stabbed. But there was something deeply unsettling about the scene. His face seemed almost unnaturally serene, as though he were carefully placed in the box after his death, as if someone had tried to conceal him. And yet, there were no obvious clues, nothing that explained who he was or how he had ended up in this terrifying and tragic position. The police were quickly called to the scene, and soon the area was swarming with investigators. The boy was examined, and while there were no visible wounds on his body, there was something eerie about the care with which his body had been discarded. Whoever had done this had clearly taken the time to wrap him up, placing him in a box to hide him from the world. A box that would, in the end, hold more questions than answers. As the investigation unfolded, the authorities began to search the area for any signs of where the boy might have come from. They quickly discovered the box had come from a local store, an everyday item that could be found in any home, adding to the bizarre and unnerving nature of the case. The boy's clothes were peculiar too. The shirt he wore was not a child's garment, but rather an adult-sized shirt, far too large for his small frame. The blanket wrapped around him was cheap, plain, and unmarked, offering no clues to his origin. The boy was completely alone, with no identifying features and no means of tracking his identity. It was as though he had appeared from nowhere. Days turned into weeks, and still, no one came forward to claim the boy. No missing child reports matched his description. No one in the neighborhood recognized him, and the police had no leads to follow. The boy was, for all intents and purposes, a ghost. His face, frozen in death, would become a haunting image that lingered in the minds of the investigators. But despite their efforts, his identity remained a mystery. As weeks passed, the authorities began to piece together more details about the boy's death. They learned that the box had been placed in a wooded area near a suburban neighborhood, far away from any major roads. The location seemed deliberately chosen, as though whoever had left him there wanted him to be found, but not too soon. The body had been left in a secluded spot, away from prying eyes. But why? What was the significance of this remote location? Why not leave him somewhere more public, where he might have been found immediately? Theories began to swirl. Could this be the result of a ritualistic killing? A child sacrificed as part of some dark, twisted ritual? Perhaps the boy had been abused, neglected, or even murdered by someone who felt no responsibility for him. But there was something chillingly ordinary about the case, too. No elaborate motives, no grand conspiracies, just a nameless boy, discarded in the woods like so much trash. The simplicity of the crime was what made it so disturbing. The police began to circulate composite sketches of the boy's face, hoping someone might recognize him. They went door to door, asking if anyone had seen a child matching his description. They even worked with local hospitals and orphanages, hoping to find some connection, some family member who might be missing a child. But as the weeks turned into months, the trail grew cold. The boy's face remained a mystery. Even the hospital records turned up nothing. The boy was a blank slate, a nameless victim, without a past to trace or a family to mourn him. Meanwhile, the case attracted widespread media attention. News outlets across the country reported on the mystery of the boy in the box, and soon, he became a symbol of lost innocence, a child whose life was cut short before it even had a chance to begin. His case captured the imagination of the public, who wondered who could have done such a thing and why. Yet, despite the coverage, no new leads emerged. As the investigation continued, new theories about the boy's origins began to take shape. Some suggested that he could have been the victim of human trafficking, brought to Philadelphia from another city or state. Others believed that he might have been part of an impoverished family, abandoned by parents who couldn't afford to care for him. But none of these theories could be confirmed. There were no missing persons reports that matched the boy's description, and no evidence that he had been in the city for long. Then, in the early 2000s, new forensic techniques like DNA analysis and facial reconstruction gave authorities hope that they might finally be able to identify the boy. Investigators reopened the case, hoping that modern technology would provide the answers that had eluded them for so long. But still, the boy remained a mystery. No DNA matches. No family connections. No concrete leads. In the years since the boy was found, there have been several attempts to solve his case. Each one has brought hope, but none have been able to provide the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. In 2019, for example, a breakthrough in forensic technology allowed authorities to identify relatives of the boy through genetic testing. But still, the boy's identity remained elusive. Despite the advances, the questions remained: who was he? Why was he left to die alone in a cardboard box? Today, the boy in the box's case remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in the world of true crime. He's buried in a cemetery in Philadelphia, in an unmarked grave, his story still untold. Despite the many years that have passed since that fateful day in 1957, the boy remains a symbol of lost innocence, his tragic death a mystery that continues to haunt us all. Who was the boy in the box? Why was he abandoned so callously? And why has no one ever come forward to claim him? These are questions that may never be answered. But the mystery of the boy in the box will live on, haunting the shadows of Philadelphia and the minds of those who dare to seek the truth. If you found this mystery chilling, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the unknown. Thanks for watching. Stay curious.